Broccoli is often called the king of vegetables, but if you have ever tried to grow it, you know the truth. It is a weak, fragile king. You nurture it for 4 months, fighting off caterpillars and slugs. You wait patiently for that big, beautiful green head to form, and then you get exactly one meal. The moment you cut that main head, the show is over. The plant withers, bolts, and dies. It is the worst return on investment in the entire garden. But what if I told you there is a lost cousin of the broccoli family that refuses to play by these rules? It doesn't give you one head, it gives you 9, 12, sometimes 30 heads at once. And here is the impossible part. When you harvest them, the plant does not die. It gets angry. It grows back bigger, stronger, and more productive the next year. This is the 9 Star Perennial Broccoli, the vegetable that lives for 5 years. It is a biological machine designed to feed you through the hungry gap, that desperate time in early spring when your garden is empty and the grocery store prices are skyrocketing. But I must warn you, this plant comes with a self-destruct button. It demands a specific kind of relationship with the gardener. If you get lazy in the spring, if you miss just 1 week of harvest, you will trigger a genetic signal that kills the plant instantly. And there's a second danger before you even start digging. The seed market is flooded with counterfeits. Because this plant is so rare, thousands of gardeners are tricked into buying fake seeds every year. Stay with me. I will show you how to avoid the scammers, how to disable the self-destruct mode, and how to keep your food engine running until 2030 or even 2032. Welcome to Reclaimed Nature. Let's talk about the cauliflower that thinks it's a tree. Let's look at the biology of the vegetable aisle. Almost every brassica you buy, cauliflower, broccoli, Romanesco, is an annual. They operate on a suicide mission. Their entire life goal is to produce one massive flower cluster, the head you eat, bloom, release seeds, and then decompose. Modern agriculture loves this. It is predictable. One seed, one head, one harvest, clear the field. It is efficient for tractors, but it is terrible for you. The 9 Star Perennial operates on a completely different logic. It is a rare landrace developed in Victorian England, not by scientists, but by gardeners who wanted food security, not industrial efficiency. Instead of putting all its energy into one giant central head, Apical Dominance, this plant distributes its power. It creates a massive central rosette of creamy white florets, which look more like cauliflower than broccoli, surrounded by a ring of satellite heads. When you cut the main head, you don't kill the plant, you stimulate it. It triggers the dormant buds on the side shoots to explode into growth. By harvesting it, you are actually feeding it. And because it is a perennial with a massive root system, it doesn't need to be babied like a seedling. It pushes through the frost. It stands its ground in the wind. While your neighbors are tilling their soil and buying expensive broccoli transplants every April, you are walking out to a plant that has been established for 3 years, harvesting armfuls of gourmet florets for free. So, here is the mystery. If this plant offers 500% more yield than regular broccoli and lives 5 times longer, why isn't it in every garden center in America? Why have you never seen a 9-star start at Home Depot? The answer reveals a conflict of interest in the seed industry. Think about it from a profit perspective. Why would a company sell you a forever plant? If you plant 9-star, you harvest for 5 years. You don't need to come back and buy seeds every year. You stop being a customer. From a business standpoint, selling you this seed is a bad investment. But there is also a biological bottleneck that makes this seed incredibly hard to produce. To get seeds from a plant, you have to let it flower. But with the 9-star perennial, allowing it to flower is exactly what kills it. If a seed farmer wants to produce a crop of 9-star seeds, they have to sacrifice their best plants. This drives the price up and the availability down. And here is the trap. Because the true seed is so rare, the market is flooded with fakes. 9-star is promiscuous. If the seed farmer has a wild cabbage nearby, they will cross-pollinate. The result? The cost isn't the $5 you spent on the packet. The cost is time. You sow the seed in spring, you nurture it through the summer, you protect it through the long, freezing winter, you wait nearly a full year for that first harvest. And then spring arrives, and nothing happens. It turns out to be a useless, leafy weed that never produces a head. You haven't just lost money, you have been robbed of an entire year of anticipation. That is why finding a pure strain isn't just a shopping trip, it is a survival skill. But do not let this discourage you, because if you do secure legitimate seeds, you are about to taste something that money literally cannot buy. Let's talk about the payoff. Why go through all this trouble for a vegetable? Because 9-star isn't just long-lasting, it is culinarily superior to almost anything you can buy. First, forget the name broccoli. That is a misnomer. Visually, it looks like a rustic, creamy white cauliflower, but the texture is where it shines. Regular cauliflower can be crumbly and dry. 9-star is dense, smooth, and almost creamy when cooked. The flavor profile is distinct. Commercial brassicas often have a sharp, sulfuric aftertaste, that farty smell of overcooked cabbage. 9-star lacks that sulfurous edge. It is sweeter, nuttier, and more delicate. It tastes like a vegetable that has had time to develop complex sugars over a long, cold winter, rather than being pumped full of nitrogen for a quick sale. And then there is the timing. This is where the plant earns its title, the Hungry Gap Hero. Imagine it is March. Outside, the price of cauliflower at the grocery store has skyrocketed because of supply chain issues. Your neighbor is looking out at their garden, and all they see is mud and dead leaves. The winter crops are gone, and the spring crops haven't started. It is a nutritional desert. But you walk out into your garden, brush a thin layer of snow off the leaves, and harvest 10 pristine white heads. While the rest of the world is starving for fresh vitamins, you are feasting like a king. By year 3, a single plant can produce dozens of fist-sized heads. This isn't just food, this is power. It is delicious, it is timely, it is a survival asset. But remember the warning I gave you at the start. This abundance comes with a condition. You have to know how to hack the plant's biology to keep it alive. To keep a 9-star broccoli alive for 5 years, you must master the art of greedy gardening. If you leave just one flower because it looks beautiful, you are signing the plant's death warrant. You must become ruthlessly greedy. You must rob the plant of every chance to reproduce. Your cruelty is the only thing that keeps it immortal. Do you have the courage to cut off the most beautiful flower to buy 5 years of life? The Total Harvest Protocol. The moment a white head starts to separate and show tiny yellow flowers, cut it. Cut the main head, cut the side shoots, even the tiny ones. By stripping the plant of its reproductive parts, you force it to reset its biological cycle. If you are diligent, the plant will accept defeat, go dormant for the summer, and build energy for a massive comeback next spring. The planting rule. This is not a small plant. It is a monster. Do not crowd it. A mature 9-star needs at least 1 square meter or 3 by 3 feet of space. It is a heavy feeder. Dig a deep hole and fill it with your richest compost. You are building a foundation for a 5-year structure, not a seasonal shack. And finally, how do you beat the seed scam? Do not buy from generic megastores. Their supply chains are too loose. You must look for specialized heirloom seed banks or small-scale growers who explicitly state pure strain or isolated stock. Look for reviews that confirm the plants actually produced white heads after overwintering. It is a treasure hunt, but the prize is worth it. We have been trained to view food as a disposable commodity. We buy it, eat it, and it's gone. The 9-star perennial broccoli represents a different philosophy. It represents permanence. In a world of rising food prices and supply chain uncertainty, Having a plant in your backyard that produces hundreds of meals over half a decade is not just gardening, it is wealth. It turns your soil into a bank account that pays you interest every single spring. Finding the seed is a challenge. Growing it requires discipline. But the first time you harvest a basket of creamy florets while the world waits for truck shipments, you will understand. You didn't just plant a broccoli, you planted independence. This is the architect from Reclaimed Nature. Keep the flowers off, keep the soil rich, and I'll see you in the garden.